Creating a sustainable and meaningful business in a new market is never easy. It becomes even more challenging when it's an emerging market that relies heavily on key relationships and a proper strategy to overcome language, culture, and business practice barriers. Speedshare was created to help performance and automotive-related companies develop the relationships and strategy necessary to be successful in the world's largest automotive market.
We often hear stories of companies setting up a few dealers and they're using a let's see what happens strategy. A lot of times, these companies end up disappointed with the results and a question whether what the opportunity really exists because of the approach that you took. Typically, their dealers lack professional skills necessary to take product beyond their immediate social network.
Speedshare offers a different and unique approach that our clients can attest generates results. Through our offices in Hong Kong, Shanghai, and the US, we're able to work closely with our clients to not only understand their business culture and practices, but also how specific Asian market opportunities and challenges relate to them. Once this phase is completed, we take them through strategy development, market activation, and support for ongoing growth. Our services have helped companies develop and capitalize on significant market opportunities throughout Asia and mainland China.
Whether you're interested in learning what opportunities may exist for your company or you're unsatisfied with your existing Asia strategy, I encourage you to contact Speedshare today to find out how we can help you develop a sustainable and meaningful business presence here in Asia.
Hello everyone. A brief introduction about Speedshare. I think it's clear enough in the corporate movie. What I want to do today is give you a little bit of pointers about China, Greater China market, because I don't really want to throw a lot of numbers. There's so many numbers available everywhere on the web. I want to give you a little bit more a feeling of what it is to succeed in China, how you can succeed in China in motorsport, automotive, performance-related market. Speedshare, as you saw in the presentation, we have two main services. One is representation services. We help motorsports and automotive-related companies come into Asia, develop into Asia, grow and succeed on this market, with obviously a big focus on Greater China. When we talk about Greater China, we talk about mainland China, obviously Macau, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. The other part of our business is Speedshare Karting Solutions, and this is a real focus on karting and to really help the entertainment market and obviously the motorsport market with promoting karting in China. So we provide full turnkey solutions to our clients. These are mostly Asian clients who will basically use our services to develop a venue from concept, design, all the way to opening the venue. As we said in the corporate video, we have offices in Hong Kong, in Shanghai, and in the USA. Why we have chosen these three locations? Hong Kong obviously is a very, very important center for business in Asia. And Shanghai obviously is the key city for business in mainland China. So these two locations enable us to have a very wide reach in Asia. So first of all, a little bit of the past 3 years and the lessons and advice that we can give you. There's 3 points that I want to touch very briefly. One is the brand, one is strategy, one is relationships. It's very important to think that your brand does not always have a value in China. Companies that we work with are always very surprised when we tell them your brand is not famous, it's not known, you need to develop a brand strategy. This is something very important that you need to focus on. Do not think that because your brand is famous in the UK or in Europe or in other countries, it will be known in China. Very often it will not be known, and it's a lot of work to get it to be known. One of the important clients that we work with, which is Orica Motorsports, is a good example and a good case study, because basically 6 years ago when we started working with Orica Motorsports, their brand wasn't famous at all in China, and nobody knew Orica Motorsports. Obviously in France it's a famous company in the motorsport industry, it's also a renowned company, but in China it didn't have a presence and nobody knew the brand. 6 years later, we've really managed to grow this brand. People know about Orica, know that Orica can do driving events, can produce racing cars, can do racing, can do technology. In terms of strategy, it's very important to have a clear strategy. And when I say a clear strategy, I mean that you need to have a long-term plan. Obviously, you need to know the market first, but you need to have a long-term plan. If you're just going to look, maybe do a deal, and then get out of China, this is not very useful. You're going to spend a lot of energy doing that, and then it's not going to really work with the Chinese market. People are looking at you. If you can sustain your development in China, they will want to work with you. So strategy is very important. One example I can give you is Sodicart, which is the world leader in leisure karting. We've taken Sodicart from a brand, again, that was not known in China and in Asia to now karting venues using Sodicart all over the region. This is because we had a strategy on how we can push them, develop them, and put them on a premium positioning, which is the positioning they're looking for. Finally, an important pointer also is relationships. You'll always hear that word when you go to mainland China or Greater China, which is guanxi. Guanxi means relationship. It's extremely important. It is important in any business. We're here doing relationship, we're networking together today. But in China, it takes precedent on the quality of your brand, the quality of your company. Relationship is the #1 thing that will get you in the country and get you some deals in China. Do not underestimate it. Do not talk about business the first time you meet somebody. Talk about building a relationship. Then you can take it to the business. Quickly now, a couple years, 3 years in the future, let's say from now to 3 years in the future, what are a couple of vision and advice? There are large opportunities in lots of different motorsport segments. Off-road, GT racing, circuit design, consulting, building. There's globalization of racing. Some of the key drivers of business growth in China motorsport are disposable income. Right now, the Chinese population, which was the middle class of China, which was 4% in the urban locations, is now a lot more. Is now 68% in 2012. People have money to spend, and they will spend it on entertainment, and entertainment can be motorsport. There's a lot of new circuits coming and being developed. There's a lot of infrastructure. There's a huge emphasis on infrastructure in China. If you have never been to China, you'll be impressed by the amazing infrastructures in airports, highways, circuits. When I first came to China in 2004, there were 3 permanent circuits. There are now 11. If you count Hong Kong, which had the first Formula E street race in October last year, and which will have the next one in the next few months, there's now 11 permanent circuits, and that's just Greater China. There's 1 permanent facility in Taiwan as well. There's Macau, Hong Kong, and lots in mainland China. And finally, globalization of racing. That's more and more important. You saw the win of Jackie Chan DC Racing at Le Mans 24 Hours. There's companies like Eurasia, Craft Bamboo, which is the joint venture of a local Hong Kong company and a UK company in racing and GT racing in China. There's more and more Asian drivers who want to come to Europe, race in the rest of the world. And there's also a lot of drivers who want to come and race in Greater China, in China or in Asia at large. A lot of races also want to come to Asia and want to be part of this market. So I'm running out of time, so I will just briefly conclude this by saying I've heard a lot about China in this morning's presentation. I've also heard a lot about entertainment, and it's very interesting because I think that motorsport is also a form of entertainment. We have a lot of technology. There's a lot of skills in this room. But think about it as well under the entertainment umbrella. There are lots of opportunities in entertainment. Entertainment can be corporate driving events, for example, that will use motorsport facilities, that will use racing cars. Entertainment can be end customer, with karting facilities popping up everywhere in China and in Greater China. Entertainment can be arrive and drive. There's Ferrari Challenge, Lamborghini Trofeo, Audi R8 LMS, Porsche Carrera Cup Asia, all running in China, and of course the rest of Asia. This is entertainment for people who have obviously more money than the regular Chinese. But this is really, really an important development that you need to consider. And I think it's a great message that we had this morning, that all the technology and the skills and the experience that you have, you can put it to the service of entertainment in our industry. Finally, I'll give you one example. I was in a meeting in the north of China. I don't know if many of you have heard of the city of Harbin, which is close to the Russian border. It's a second-tier city, maybe even a third-tier city. It's not very famous abroad, but it's famous in China for its ice festival. It's minus 18 degrees average during the winter. I was meeting with a person who is in charge of a 40 billion Chinese yuan project, $6 billion US. We're meeting to talk about karting venues. They don't really understand what is karting. It's the beginning of any motorsport, any experience with cars. At one point, will start with karting. We're talking about karting. These people are a property development, the largest property developer in China, Wanda Group. Look it up on the web. It's mostly in Chinese, but it's the largest. They're now coming to Europe and purchasing lots of brands, lots of companies. They've recently purchased the Ironman brand. I don't know if some of you do triathlon, but it's the #1 brand. They've purchased Ironman. Why would a property development company in China purchase Ironman? Because they're now expanding from pure property to entertainment, because the government and Xi Jinping, the president, has decided of a 3-5-year plan of entertainment and culture and sports. They've purchased it, and now there's Ironman races popping up everywhere in China. These people need to be educated. They're interested in anything. They're very interested in karting. So if there's opportunities with companies like this to do motorsport, karting, anything that is related to our business, it is possible. They just need to be educated. Remember, keep an open mind. Do not look at China and Greater China with a European perspective. It's a totally different market. Leave it at the door when you get on the plane and open your mind to China. Business there is done extremely differently, and anything can happen. They need support, they need skills, they need the experience, and they need the soft skills in motorsport and the experience. So there are opportunities. Go and check it out. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Don't go away.
Okay. All right.
Jim Morris is chairman of the Motorsport Industry Association. More importantly, perhaps, he owns Lifeline Fire and Safety Systems, which started life as an exclusively motorsport supplier. Having diversified into automotive and the tricky sector that is defense, the company's 28 employees design and build safety systems and export to 43 countries of the world. Growth is distinctly Jim's business. Please welcome him to the platform.
John, if you don't mind, I just wanted to interrupt the proceedings and just make an announcement and have a photograph taken of our friend who's come all the way from China for today and tomorrow. Slept most of the way, I'm told. But it shows a commitment to this particular community that Benjamin would come all this way. I have known him for a few years. His company is of substantial reputation in China. And what we've just done, and I want to photograph with the chairman, is we've signed an accord with Speedshare to become the MIA's liaison office for Greater China. And when I say that with great pride, we have liaison offices in America. And I would say to you, I've tried to check it out, there are not many UK trade associations that have their own liaison offices in these countries. We're in a global industry, we're not in a local industry. And when you get off that plane in China, having been there many times trying to earn a living, you need a friend, you need a mountain guide. And these guys are going to be MIA members, mountain guides, for the fantastic opportunity that is presented in Greater China. So I just wanted these two to shake hands and you to welcome this new liaison office for the MIA.